This is Ashley Stevens with UNCF. I'm with Dr. Ronald A. Johnson, president of Clark Atlanta University. Welcome, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Congratulations to Clark Atlanta University being named one of the 30 recipients of the UNCF CPI Planning Grant.
Greatly appreciate the opportunity. It really is a wonderful opportunity for making a difference.
In what ways do you see UNCF CPI making a difference for the CAU Panthers?
Well, first, what it does is it allows us to take a long look at our entire program. And we believe that our approach to our students, and not just our students, but we look at the students from recruitment to retirement. And so this gives us really an opportunity to really focus in on that entire pathway, which is very, very important. When we do that, we see that there are information gaps. When we do that, we see that there are also gaps in the development of specific, I'll call them like fine motor skills. And so that's really been beneficial to us because now we can actually see how we can actually expand, as I call it, expand the bandwidth of our students by being really deliberate in the processes that we, educational processes that we implement.
When you talk about being deliberate, do you think that's something that's been missing from, helping students prepare intentionally for outcomes after graduation? Is it something that you think could be improved upon across the board in higher education?
Personally, I think that that's been the challenge in higher education globally. That higher education is not, McKinsey did a study January 2014. It's called Education to Employment. And there's a global problem. And so what I would say is that we have to recognize that there are just certain things that we need to do. And one of the things we need to do is that we need to actually understand where the students are and then where we need them to go. Most of the time the students come to us and we have our already pre-designed system that doesn't take into account where the students are, and in many instances doesn't take into account where they actually need to go. And as a result, we wind up with a disconnect in terms of overall performance of higher education relative to the needs of the economies of the world.
Currently, what do postgraduate outcome placements look like for Clark Atlanta University students? I know you have a master's program. I know some students go straight into, pursuing their master's degrees. But currently, what do some of the, the numbers look like for CAU students?
It really is important to look at it by program. So let's use an example, an extreme example. Our School of Social Work, the Bachelor's of Science in Social Work, had 21 graduates this past spring. Of those 21 graduates, 20 of them are going on to do masters in social work. Some at CAU, some at NYU, Case Western Reserve, a wide assortment of institutions. The one that is not going on to graduate school is in the Army and is continuing to be in the Army. So in terms of social work, now, if we look at other fields, for instance, in mass media arts, it's a little less, certainly in terms of the number of people going on to graduate school, there's a lot fewer. Number of people going on into industry, quite significant. So it really depends on the program.
In what ways do you see UNCF CPI enhancing, outcomes, whether they be to pursue continuing education or pursue, career, or the armed forces, for example?
Well, I've had the wonderful opportunity to teach in two places that are really important in terms of the context of the CPI. I taught at Northeastern University, which is the granddaddy of co-op education. And then I also taught at Florida A&M under the iconic Dean Sybil Mobley. And Sybil Mobley introduced professional development as a key component of the educational experience of the students in the business school there at SPI. And so what CPI is allowing for me is to go back into my past history and actually knit those innovative experiences and programs of the past and knit them together in a modern context. So the CPI really gives us a way to pull together things that have actually been highly successful, in some instances forgotten or not experienced in the context of the HBCU. Certainly the co-op education program at NYU, at Northeastern is legend.
Got it. What do you think why do you think this type of program is important specifically for HBCU and PBI students?
Well, we draw from a population of students who are largely first generation. And first generation in terms of college, students don't have the full set of information that someone who has a long family history of education. And as a result, the choices that are made are not necessarily the choices that are most advantageous to the student. One of the ways in which you make a choice that's not advantageous is that you choose a major that requires that you actually go on to do a PhD. But your finances and your personal circumstances are such that doing a PhD is just not really in the cards. So then you come out with a degree that is a pathway to something else, but it's not a pathway to success in terms of a career. So part of what this program of support offers us is the ability, as I said earlier, to really provide the kind of information that impacts decision making, help also the students in how they decide. When you have a host of opportunities in terms of what to eat and you have never tried any of the food before, you're now stuck with a challenge. And so what we want to do is we want to give them a experience in how do you select what it is that's best for you.
Right. Okay. And lastly, where do you see Clark Atlanta University 7 to 10 years from now?
Well, I see it as, certainly this is my vision, my personal vision. I see it as an institution that really understands that we are being given responsibility as stewards of other people's children. And our goal is to help them become successful with respect to the use of their gifts and talents, and that their success is measured in terms of the impact, the positive and significant impact that they have in the lives of other people. And that's what I see 7 years from now, and that's what I see now.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Again, Dr. Ronald Johnson, president of Clark Atlanta University.